Greetings, truth fans. We will begin the second half of our extremely psychotic and paranoid, paranormal gang stalking and other dimensional type experiences. There's a lot that sounds really crazy, and people will try and put on drug use as the main excuse, but me and my wife here, who's still with me after all this time. It's been about 7 years since these experiences took place, but we group hallucinated.
Yeah.
So the things that we were seeing, we were scientifically
We were seeing them together.
Yeah, confirming, and just taking a scientific approach to these things. We weren't just reacting scared at first. It took a long time to work us up into such a state of frenzy that we were able to be pushed in whatever direction our handlers wanted us to be. So we begin our story in a desert wash near a nuclear power plant out here in Arizona. And we'd been getting chased around the state for about a month. We had things planted in our minds, like ideas, that helped to propagate our reactions.
Yeah.
So, we were told that reptilians were going to be taking over humanity, and in fact had already done so. There's a lot of cryptic stuff that we had no knowledge of prior to. We were able to do some research and see about Sumerians and these reptiles and whatever. David Icke came up.
Yeah.
So, we were pretty much driven crazy. You can check out the story, and that's actually why we're doing this. Is we have, I think it's two videos of shadow people, translucent humanoids, and cryptid sightings. And our friend Chris at Strange Life did a wonderful job of editing these together in a presentable format, much better than my rambling speech can accomplish. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, Chris. You did a really good job, and we are going to be putting out this part of our story now because we kind of fell off and just stopped. This was a lot to take in to our psyche and just reevaluate what we've gone through. This was something that we didn't live down. We talked about it constantly and always tried to re-examine what happened to us, and I'm surprised that we are even together at this point, that the world even survived, and everyone wants to talk crap and say we were just really high. But it's simply not the case. We were obviously being messed with by forces outside of ourselves, or maybe within ourselves, maybe a combination of both. So let's jump right into it. We were without a vehicle, just wrecked the vehicle far out in the desert. Just at the times were completely askew. We didn't know what time it really was, but it was only a few hours into the evening. A late summer night. I remember it was 10 o'clock, so it was probably a few hours after that, and the sun apparently seemed to come out and was trying to cook us. That's what I remember. It sounds crazy.
It was really bright.
Yeah. At a weird angle in the sky. I don't know if this was a device, if anything. At this point, we were speculating completely from wherever we could. I thought this was cops or CIA the whole time until some experiences where we were seeing these different types of beings, translucent humanoids, little gnomes, just creepy things from some horror story drawing board. So I'm pretty much at this point, you know, like I'm seeing these things, Tracy seeing these things, and the fear was...
Oh, it was bad. We were just trying to get away from everybody.
Imagine your whole family dead. Like, this is where we were at in our minds. Like, everyone that we knew was dead, and this was really going on. Like, the world was...
We were being chased so bad. Like, followed everywhere.
Gang stalking to the fullest, and with an interdimensional twist, so it couldn't just be, like, attributed to humans strictly, unless they had some great technology and a good storyline, and it's totally possible. But at the time, we were I was ready to go out, and literally I was ready to kill myself. Like, I had my favorite substances ready to go, and like I'm sitting there like, if this happens, I'm making sure that
So basically, we bottomed out. We grabbed a bunch of... I didn't even have my shoes on. We grabbed a bunch of,
The car turned off. We bottomed out in the car, in the wash, and the car was disabled. So we wanted to get away immediately. And she pretty much ran out in no shoes. We started going the wrong direction, like back towards the highway. So we had to double back, and we ended up, running from this light that was... You could feel it on your skin. Like, it was like, I thought it was going to cook us. So we huddled in this wash.
Yeah. And then I started freaking out because I heard this army marching at us. I couldn't see it or anything, but it sounded pretty big, like just marching towards us.
Voice to skull, I don't know. It sounded like there were helicopters and explosions and boots on the ground and gunfire and everything. So
after a while, we were sitting there, and meanwhile, there are little...
Not after a while, no. This was like immediately. She's screaming bloody murder, like literally freaking the F out, looking at items all around us.
So there was these gnome things strung up in the trees, like as if they were hung. There were people
like
there.
By nooses. Like, there were little midgets, like little... 2.5 feet tall, maybe, like these little beings.
They were all up in the trees. There was people there that looked as if they were part of the rocks, but they were humans that were camouflaged.
Lizards too.
And
she was screaming about this lizard that was pointing a gun at us.
They had guns, like, on the lizards. The lizards had guns, at them. They told me not to move. And then...
It was kind of like a Mexican standoff of, like, this ragtag group of...
So finally the army comes in, and I know it's the army that I heard from earlier, and...
Not the army. This was, like, these interdimensional beings.
Yeah.
Of, like, soldiers, of...
They were I could just describe them as, like, translucent skeletons. They came up to us and started poking me, and I started freaking out.
She felt that. She saw it. I would see, like, bent air or, like, some kind of camouflaging.
They were just poking at my face and my, like, just every part of my body. I was tripping out. Then I don't know what they were doing, but they pulled out this giant... It looked... I don't know if it was a gun, but it looked pretty intimidating, and it looked like a cannon almost.
Big machine pointed at us. Like, she was... screaming, telling me all this, and I'm seeing this in the rocks, like, in the trees. Like, it looked like debris or like just a weird camouflage kind of, I could tell these things were there, what she was describing, but like it wasn't of this world, or maybe it was just a great technology, maybe it was in our heads, but the things that were being interacting with us were definitely checking out in this physical reality. At some point.
I could tell that they were a little concerned with the fact that I was screaming so much. Also, with they didn't know what to do with us.
They were saying to be quiet. Like
there were the people there was humans that looked like the rocks that were camouflaged, telling me to be quiet, and they had guns pointed on these things. So
it seemed like a rebel group, Like, from what I got from the storyline that was playing out, it seemed like two different groups
Yeah.
at odds with each other.
We were just in the middle of it.
Yeah, I mean, she was screaming bloody murder, like they wanted to blow our heads off with this, the weaponry that they had aimed at us. And I'm literally just ready to, go out. I'm like, well, if they shoot me, I'm gonna make sure I've got enough substance in my system, because this was it. This was after
he was getting ready to die.
Yeah, I mean, really, and she was screaming like
as
nonstop,
if I was
like
gonna die.
ah, ah, like filling up like every breath. Like there was not a stop in this. No ceasing of the screaming until we're talking about it. And I'm like, okay, so I'm seeing everything in my own way that she's describing. So it's not like she's just picking this stuff out of nowhere, and she's saying these things are poking her, and she's feeling it, and like, it's real, as far as our minds are concerned. And it was at this point, it was probably like 15 minutes of you screaming, and like us being like,
it was a while.
And I made the comment that if this is being allowed to happen, then there's no God. That was like literally the comment I made, and I remember it so distinctly because like I didn't, my spirituality changed a lot in that time. I was thinking it was cops and nothing, monsters, aliens, interdimensional, anything. And so it took a while for me to get to this point, but that's what my comment was, and it caused everything to stop.
Everything instantly stopped as soon as he said that and went to normal, and we were looking at each other like, what?
And she was still screaming. She was still screaming. I put my hand over her freaking mouth and like told her, "Hey."
And then I realized, like, what am I even screaming for? Like,
right? It
was
stopped.
so weird.
Like the rock was still there. It looked like it had a lizard face, but it was just like lifeless. The entity or whatever that possessed it. Like these things just kind of faded away. I don't know if we were there, if we passed out, if they did use some kind of technology on us, if it was some kind of electronic overlay that they turned off. Who knows? But to all the haters that want to say we did too much,
drugs or whatever,
smoked too much, whatever that day.
I don't even think we had the opportunity.
We were chased around for days. Like we wouldn't be able to sleep. We'd park somewhere and just get chased on. But that was it. That was pretty much like the craziest at that time. Like that was what they wanted from us as far as gang stalking and this whole setup. That
I don't know what happened there, because I mean there could have been a lot that we didn't remember. So after we ended up all of that happening, we went back to the vehicle
and it started right up, and we like weren't even stuck. So that was like a miracle. And great. So we decided to continue on our way with our insane gang stalking experience. No longer thinking it's humans at this point, and kind of believing what this guy told us, psychically in the beginning of all this. I really recommend you guys go back and listen to the prior videos. We'll leave a link to Strange Life because it fills in the story to this point, and we won't have to describe what we were experiencing if you listen to that. So we continued. We went hundreds of miles during this time, spiraled around the state of Arizona, stopping at little small town gas stations and paying twice the price we should have for gas, but it was safe enough, and we were able to just skirt around this. Everyone was still driving with their high beams on and doing the flashing low beams and pulling out like glowing orbs on motorcycles and stopping cars, and just like it was just insane. Like we could not stop. Like we did not feel safe, like even going at a low speed throughout all this, taking back roads. We ended up just at Dateland. Did I explain Dateland already? Dateland. Okay, so this was this was where we ended up. This was like 3 crazy days, in this intense period of gang stalking that just really like we were the closest to killing ourselves. Who knows? It seemed like something wanted us to take ourselves out.
Yeah.
Because these things in the end weren't really affecting us, right? Like it was just she could see these things. They had the technology out telling us shh and
Mhm.
all this, but I mean, if they were gonna do something, I think they would have really done it. Maybe they did, but I think they were just trying to push us to our own self-destruction. That's what I
Yeah.
got from this.
Yeah.
So, chased around the state, end up at Dateland, which is going towards California, and we parked there. Oh, did we already told this part, right? Didn't we have to get a cell phone charger and everything? I'm not sure where we left off, but this ends up with a shadow person, just like a dark silhouette talking to like a 7 foot tall like black guy with dreads, in some shady.
Yeah, we were just
The military trains going by like with troops on them and
mhm.
just a
All
bunch of
night. It was so
tanks like
loud.
miles long military
We were
trains.
just in our vehicle, like we put sheets in the windows to cover it up and everything,
Did
but
that whole thing again and
yeah.
and got ready for the night, and it was like these things noticed me peering out the crack of the window, and then that was it. Like so tired, couldn't stay up anymore.
Mhm.
Fell asleep, woke up to sunlight at this gas station where there's people and normal business going about.
Yeah.
Got a phone charger and contacted our people and went back, and it was literally like the Matrix got reloaded. Like
Mhm.
the people that we dealt with like came back into our lives like one by
Very
one.
slowly.
Like we'd
It was
literally
just
be in Phoenix and see one person on the
right.
street. So this is a major city too, so it was just things outside of our control or just strange circumstances that just
Mhm.
led us to have this whole production in our minds. But it didn't stop there. I mean, it really did when I said the God thing, and then we ended up making it to this point at Dateland.
Yeah.
Things seemed normal, like compared to what we just went through. They
Mhm.
seemed normal enough to where okay, like she'd still get stuck in people's eyes or do some hand signals or something, but compared to the end of the world that we just saw, it was
Yeah.
like we went back into the Matrix.
Pretty much,
Really,
yeah.
like, and we knew it too. We were like so flabbergasted as to what
Mhm.
happened that we knew that we were going back into this re-uploading like
Yeah.
existence, and our lives were never the same after that. And that was only the beginning of the crazy effects that kept going on. Like there was a year's worth of rain in one day. People were just walking around like zombies. I thought the car was gonna float away like
Yeah.
a river, and all the trees in Phoenix literally were
Yep.
broken right in half.
Cut in
Like all these
half.
trees that
It's
were moving around and hitting us, swiping at our car that the guy told us to watch for. It's
yeah.
they were all broken in half, like snapped at the trunk, which I don't know what kind of wind does that. Maybe it was just all the rain, but that never happens. Lived in Phoenix my whole life, and at that point, it was just the strangest occurrences in the whole world were happening to us.
Mhm.
So there were battles in the sky, like you could see ships attacking each other, or like just dragons, kind of entities.
Yeah.
There would be clouds. Like, on a cloudless day, we would have a cloud covering us
Mhm.
from the sun, like right. I mean,
Oh
just a
yeah.
little circle of sun. And when I would try and look at it, like we'd have a friend with us who'd be, "Don't look at that." Like, okay, why wouldn't I
Yep.
look at there's no clouds in the sky and we're in a shadow? Oh, it's just Arizona.
They would have like just this like brainwashed line that they would
Yeah,
say
like
like don't look at that.
it's just Arizona. Like, what does that even mean? Are you guys serious right now? So, these were people that I'd known, and it seemed like the biggest prank ever being pulled on us, or that people
Yeah.
really were like possessed. This is where I started getting outside of the physical realm of like, oh, there's gonna be real lizards coming over and taking over people. This
Mhm.
was like an etheric overlay. Like people didn't even know what they were doing. Totally
Right.
possessed. Me and her included. This was long past the attempts to just talk it out, because we couldn't. Like we were seeing different realities. These things were just misconstruing everything so bad. We would just be arguing about the silliest, stupidest crap ever.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was like half the time she was my only basis I had for reality, and the other half the time we were just at odds and like working hand in hand with the attackers. I was still getting shot continuously, like so much, like crack on the window, crack.
Yeah, we hear that a lot.
And she would look at me like I'm really getting shot, you know. So that happened to her twice, and she didn't even realize it. Like they missed or something, like, and hit her twice, and like I saw where they hit her, boom, in the stomach, and she's oh, like at the second it hit her, and she's like, oh no, I ate something bad. You know, like, oh, like, why all of a sudden, like, you just got a sharp pain the second that thing hit, and, like, I know how that affected me, so this was just where her mindset was at. We couldn't really objectively view this from the same state of mind.
Yeah.
You know, like, I knew I got shot, and, like, she wouldn't even be able to register this, and, the food, the water, like, I thought she was trying to poison me. I'd open water once, you know, and take a drink and just be so thirsty, and the water wouldn't be good anymore or whatever. I didn't know she was drugging me. Like, I'm so paranoid at this point. Things would just get lost. Like, she would literally have something in her hand, and I'd be like, hey, you know, like, what are you doing with that? And, like, she wouldn't even know what she was doing.
Yeah.
You know, this really got to us. So this was like a 5-month period that draws to a close. December and January 2015. We're still running around Arizona, and we're trying to do something different. There's weird fog at nights, you know, like in strange areas. The leaves were falling in like January, right? Like Christmas time.
There were so many anomalies.
Yeah. And so trying to tell our story to people and just have their eyes gloss over and not be able to even start to grasp what happened to us. We ended up getting a car title loan, getting a little bit of cash, and we were going to try and find somewhere to go just to change scenes and see if it stayed the same.
Yeah.
And that happened to be Oregon. So we went through you know, the normal gang stalking and just collecting these videos and data and just trying to break it down while we were stuck in drug addiction and just trying to support ourselves. So it was nasty. It really taught us a lot of lessons, but in the end we got targeted so hard that we couldn't even just exist. We couldn't be. Cars would pull up with trailers, you know, like full of batteries or whatever, and like devices, and like you'd literally feel these cars pull up.
He'd be getting so sick, like throwing up, like
in the middle, like of sleep.
Yeah, it would be so bad.
Certain lights, some of the LED lighting, semi-trailers, and just these strange vehicles. They always had weird trailers.
There's always
or like
somebody
bars
pulling
on
up
top.
To us too.
They had bars on top of the car, like with wires running to it, and you would just feel this like frequency, and I would test it all the time.
Yeah.
We were totally having something really happen. It's not like I was just going crazy, you know, and so we go through Vegas on the way to Oregon, totally pursued by helicopters. Can't make a turn at red lights. I have to make right turns and then like do U-turns, and this stuff is just like you'll get stuck in traffic. Cars will be on you know, like the brake checking thing and on your butt. Just so we make it through Vegas and have her get gas station. She comes out all weird doing the sign language thing and okay, let's go. You know, just like, you know, like these things that we'd be going through could just change like that. Like if you caught eyes with the wrong person, did some sign language, whatever, these people would just be psychically manipulating us. And it seemed like she was totally like on their team half the time until I would get her, you know, to realize what was going on. So this was really where things got messed up. We're heading up through Nevada, and this makeup bag she had down by her feet kept like manifesting itself to her feet. Like she was literally typing on this thing with her toes, like a typist, someone typing individually with their toes on this thing. Like first it was on the dashboard, like why would you have your feet on the dashboard? But then this was totally outside the grasp of her control. Like I would move the thing away and just, hey, can you not do that, and like get her to see what she's doing, and this thing would literally just whoosh, like it was on an invisible string back to her feet, and she'd be typing, and like no way that she couldn't stop it, like at all whatsoever for her life. Like I'm like, hey, like this is what you're doing, can you please stop, you know, like so this is so weird for me, right? Like I'm like, hey, like just trying to be nice and get, you know, hey, like if I were in your situation right now and I had this you know, makeup box attracted to my feet and I was typing on it with, you know, just like, hey, like this is exactly what's happening, so you're typing on this and it's just, can we stop it, you know? Like so this was like hours of like of, hey, can you stop typing on the makeup bag with your toes? And it just kept reappearing. So I'm looking at her in the side view mirror and also the rear view mirror, just because like I have to watch her while I'm driving, because it's bad. Like if she's looking out the window and starts doing these signs with her hands, cars come up out of nowhere and we get slowed down, and like this stuff starts manifesting in conjunction with her actions. So, you know, I didn't want to be mean, but like this was after 5 months of like experimentation, and we knew that when she would go down like below the windows, like these cars would fall off of us and not pursue us so hard. So this was just in the middle of the night, flying through, you know, Nevada, and didn't realize we've been driving for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and the gas tank's still full. I realized this at this point, and that things are really, really weird, you know, with the makeup bag and her typing. So we're supposed to be at this town, Ellie, Nevada, Eli, and you know, an hour ago at least. It was like 40 something miles to this place, but we'd been driving for 2 hours and didn't get there yet, and the gas hadn't gone down at all. So I'm looking at her in the mirrors when she's like, stop looking at me in the mirrors, you know? And out of nowhere, there's like a moose, caribou, elk, some giant creature in Nevada at this point too, and 17 degrees, snowing. And we hit it. I mean, we're going like 75, 80 on a freeway, and it starts like snowing kind of, and there's a moose there, and so I swerved to the left, it swerves to the right, and we hit it, and it takes off the mirror that she was arguing about, that she didn't want me looking in the side view mirror. It's like left a tuft of hair and some blood. I got out of the car in the freezing cold, and like just was amazed that our car was still good, you know, just the mirror that she had a problem with was taken off. So you know, the makeup bag thing at this point, like she's still typing on it, and I was like, all right, check it out. At this point, like the gas didn't go down at all. We're supposed to be in some place. I saw a sign that said Snoqualmie Pass, which I found out later after I'm in jail after this whole experience, that was in Washington when we were in Nevada at the time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we saw the elevation sign,
it was
Snoqualmie
really strange.
Pass. Yeah. So I ended up shooting a gun over her head because like I'm like, hey, like if you're getting back in the car, like if we're doing this, like you have to have control over your body. And this thing's freaking me out with the makeup bag just manifesting. Like I would knock it out of the way and it would just whoosh,
and he was seeing an entity in the mirror above my head, so he was shot the gun over my head, you know.
I saw like a 7 or 8 foot tall, like gray alien creepy being like over her head, like and controlling her, like I could see this thing, like mouthing like what she was saying, and like she was like psychically controlled by this thing. Like I'm not even buying that at this point. I'm just, this is what I'm seeing, and I'm like letting her know, and no, don't look at that. I'm like, all right, well, whatever. Like maybe the vortex from this bullet that I shoot over your head will dislodge this enemy or something. I don't know, but I give her props on that she was able to do that. I did have to drive off with her barefoot in the middle of Nevada before I turned around and told her to get back in the car, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just, we were totally just psychotically broke down at this point, but still going, still functioning. So I decided to just keep going, even though I don't know where we're at, what's going on. I know this town was supposed to be up ahead. And really, we hit a sign like a few minutes later that said Ellie, Nevada, you know, like 43 miles, and it's like, okay, so we didn't really go anywhere during that time. The time stopped and our gas didn't go down, you know. But then all of a sudden, here we are. Now the gas goes down like below half a tank, and we end up getting through Ellie, Nevada, which is just a really small, dark town. And yeah, that was weird. The moose thing, Snoqualmie Pass in Nevada, is like a Bermuda Triangle experience.
Yeah.
So we keep going through Idaho. So many weird trucks on the road. Such weird fog.
Yeah, the fog.
This is in January, so I mean, when we finally make it through Oregon, there's like fields of cows that are like frozen.
solid.
I mean, it was like
it was
so cold.
Such a blizzard. Yeah.
And there's just like fields of cows like they were frozen, like solid out. It was so weird. And this stuff's all just happening to us. We're just trying to pay attention. Weren't trying to record anything at this point. Like, we think everyone's just our families were possessed and wouldn't hear us, or weren't even there. We've gone through so much at this point to jumble up our psyche that we were just all we had. And you know, it really was such a bonding experience and destructive experience for our lives, to where it even affects us to this day.
Yeah.
So we end up in Oregon. We went to Portland. We met an old friend of mine from Arizona. You know, I'm trying to like find some basis for my life being real, you know. And so we only made it in Oregon for like 2 or 3 days. We lost a hotel deposit. I ended up shaving Tracy's head because the hair was like literally attacking me. Her hair glowed like neon green under black light, and at first I would pull balls of hair out of the car, you know, because we were staying in it, and she had really long hair, so there'd be hair. And I realized after I was in jail later on that all the hair was missing. Like, we didn't have to clean it out of the car, it was going somewhere. And I had filmed the walls in the hotel room where she would walk past and these entities would literally like grasp her hair and pull it into the wall. It would start glowing, and like these little gnomes would be dancing around like a campfire. And this wasn't me seeing this. I would film just to see these entities around her, and like after I would rewatch it, you would see this stuff. I would ask her what she saw,
and there would be these people that would say these code things about my hair, like, oh, it's really opulent, or they would just always point out something about my hair. So
the same keywords.
Yeah, opulent. So it was pretty interesting.
So at this point, things get really the same. They're bad. In Oregon, the vehicles would pull up with the trailers and the batteries and the roof racks that would just zap me out of my parking spot or wherever we found to settle down. So I pulled into a residential neighborhood to move some things from the back seat to the trunk of the car so we didn't lose another deposit or anything. And some guy called the cops saying we were stealing our own vehicle. So this is where this gets crazy. We're going to start another video and finish this for you guys.